Hey,
Hello? Hello?
hey June.
Hey, Pavel, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine, man. How are you?
I'm excellent. Um, Pavel, before we get going, I've heard a couple of the podcasts you've done before, and I think the proper way to address you is Pavel, not Pavlenex, but which do you prefer?
Whichever, I think that most people know me as Pavlenex. My real name is Pavle, but
Ah, okay,
whichever
Pavel.
you prefer, really, it really does not matter to me.
Okay, sure. Well, mate, thanks for coming on the call. I've come across your work a number of months ago, and there's been a lot of great news, a lot of hype, a lot of interest in BTC Pay Server. Certainly over the last couple of weeks, but over the last several months. So, if you're ready, maybe we can just get kicked off with kind of what BTC Pay Server is for those people that are not familiar with it, and then how you became involved and what your role is.
Sure, sure. That all sounds great to me.
So take it away.
So basically, what you want me to talk about BTC Pay Server, right?
Yeah, if you could just we'll just start
Sure, sure,
with an introduction to it and then why you got involved.
sure. What can I start?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. So BTCPay Server is a free and open source cryptocurrency payment processor. It is completely free to use, open source, which means that anybody can fetch it, download it, and deploy it on their own server and use it. A simple way to explain BTCPay Server is think of it as a WordPress. WordPress is just software that allows anyone to launch their own blog. So in that way, BTC Pay Server is a tool which allows anyone to become their own payment processor. BTC Pay Server itself started in 2017 by Nicolas Dorier. He was so annoyed with the way BitPay, a centralized payment processor at that time, behaved, and he decided to create an open source alternative to BitPay. And that's basically what BTC Pay Server is. Simply explained, think of it as a WordPress to Bitcoin. That's the easiest way to kind of explain it.
Yeah, I've never heard it put in that way, but actually that makes a lot of sense. And maybe before we get into your personal motivations, I think it's important to stress why that's important, right? Because a lot of people who aren't very familiar with BTC Pay may just think like, okay, what's the big deal? A payment channel, a merchant, a service for people selling stuff on the internet. But why it's important is because it puts you fully in control of the entire process of receiving payments from your customers. There's no middleman, and especially in a climate today where we're finding places like PayPal and Patreon and Mastercard and all the different payment rails and networks and payment providers are there's lots of cases of them censoring people that are selling things based off political motivations, based on actually based on we don't know what the hell what a lot of the time because it happens behind closed doors. So the importance of having a completely sovereign solution like this where you are the only one in control. There is nobody that can shut it down or shut it off, and payment goes directly from customer to merchant, and it's free, and there's no fees associated with it. That's a pretty damn big deal.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the easiest way to just put it is like what Nick Szabo says, third parties are security holes that I can talk about it all day. BTC Pay involves, it eliminates that third party because if you think about it, Bitcoin is here to allow people to transact peer to peer. And somehow down that road, we managed to involve a bunch of third parties called payment processors, which are no different to MasterCard, Visa, or PayPal. And I mean, how can you build a centralized service on top of decentralized protocol? I mean, it can work, but eventually it will get shut down. You can, take private information from people transacting in. I mean, how can that even work in Bitcoin? Does not make sense. To me, open source alternative, which is built on top of Bitcoin and allows people to transact and more importantly to build on top of it is like a must. And I'm so glad that Nicola created BTC Pay Server and that bunch of contributors now contribute and develop a software like this. Because in a way, it's not just a payment processor. I can tackle that in if you want also, but
Yeah, please.
it's like it's an entire technology stack. So you can use it in an unlimited number of ways. So if you're a developer, we provide you an open source stack on top of which you can build your entire business. You can, for example, build an exchange on top of it, because there are no, it's like BTCPay Server glues all of these things together and creates a very easy to use interface for it. So you can use it as a simple user. You can use it as, if you're a charity, to accept donation. If you're a blogger, you can use it as a paywall on top of your blog, so that you can, charge per article or per view. And of course, I mean, possibilities are limitless. So many different people use BTC Pay, and I'm so happy about it. Exactly like so many people use WordPress. Again, I'm making that comparison because it was made as a personal blog tool, and now you can even build the e-commerce shop on top of your WordPress. So that's it's quite a complex tool, but it can be used in various ways.
Yep. Pavel, I'm just going to stop for 1 second. Did you just hear those two dings?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I need to turn that off.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay, little technical interruption. Yeah, so maybe we can spend a little more time on that particular note, because as with Bitcoin itself, it appears to be one thing on the surface, and then when you dig deeper and you investigate other attributes and other potentials, then it kind of morphs into becoming something else, and typically something more profound or more useful than you initially thought. So, you just touched on it a bit there, but can you maybe discuss some of the more interesting ways you see BTC Pay Server being able to be used, in the not too distant future?
Yeah, sure. So one of course, first thing you think of BTC Pay is it is a merchant tool. So it allows merchant to connect his own shop deployed on any of e-commerce platforms and accept Bitcoin payments directly to the wallet. That's quite understandable use case. Second, we also built in actually bunch of applications on top of BTC Pay Server. So for example, you can do a crowdfunding campaign. And it's very easy to do it. In a few clicks, you can have your own Bitcoin crowdfunding campaign, and it's similar to Patreon or Indiegogo. So that's another use case. Also, we have like payment button. It's just a button which you can implement on any sort of website and accept Bitcoin donation. We have point of sale app. If you're a merchant in retail, you can use that app to accept payments from your customers. So, and on top of that, I mean, since it's open source and it glues so many things together, if you're a developer, I mean, possibilities are limitless with it. You can develop anything you want on top of it. And we have so many great services being made with BTC Pay Server. We also have a directory .btcpayserver.org. That is like a website where people display their own shops and work, and you can see there everything people built on top of BTC Pay. And it's very interesting. There are so many different use cases, so many different people use it. It's very fun. So feel free to take a look at it when you have time.
That's so cool, man. And maybe just a final point on this. Could you describe a little bit about how it actually works in terms of the invoicing system, the integration with accounting and all of that kind of stuff? Just so people understand it's not just like something that generates a new public address for every transaction, but it's really kind of a fully integrated, accounting system.
Yeah, sure. So I will just explain. So why should you use a complex software and not just a wallet to accept Bitcoin payments? Right, you can accept payments with your wallet. Well, if you're a merchant and you have like 100 people coming in making payments. I mean, how will you know who paid what amount? If you have refunds, who should you refund it to? I mean, merchants need an automated invoicing system, something that handles everything for them in the background, so that they can just ship their orders if they're online, or just fulfill them if they're a physical shop. So BTCPay Server is like an invoicing system, but it actually deploys a full Bitcoin node. It deploys a Lightning Network node. It deploys Tor on top of it and a bunch of other systems, and puts that in a single easy-to-use interface. So merchants can definitely just, they need to integrate it and connect it, and from there, payments will appear in their wallet. So if you're using Electrum, you can see Electrum payments coming to your Electrum wallet without you ever having to touch your BTCPay server. Also, we have an excellent invoice for managing, all the incoming and outgoing payments inside. So merchants can definitely see every payment, and then that payment is tied to a particular order and so on. So it's really, everything is automated, and we also have documentation about invoices, docs.btcpayserver.org, and people can read a bit in depth about just on this, what I touched. So it's a very, very complex solution, but if you set it up from there, you basically do not have to touch anything. It automates everything for you.
Yeah, and the kicker is it's free, So now anyone with an internet connection anywhere in the world has the ability to establish a storefront without a bank, without a payment processor, for free. I mean, it's such a powerful proposition. You think of people, I mean, this has applications for everybody, of course, but you think of people in far-reaching areas of the world that don't have all the services that we currently have. Even though a lot of us would say, yeah, we'd rather be in control than have a bank or a payment processor in the middle too. But just the fact that somebody in your stereotypical person in a impoverished place in South America, Africa, Asia, anywhere really, that they can set up a storefront to sell their services or their products for free and be entirely in control of that process. I mean, it really feels like a big deal to me.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and that's actually the whole point of BTCPay Server, is to allow freedom for people, financial freedom without any sort of barriers. So it's also quite a lightweight, because Raspberry Pi, it's those little computers, you can run it even on that, and you can run your own server, your own bank in your pocket on a $50 hardware. I mean, that's crazy. And
It is crazy.
I'm hoping in future we can make it like an app, so that it runs on your mobile phone. We're still quite far from there, but why not? Why just don't allow people to install app and have their own bank?
Right.
And actually, when you deploy BTCPay Server, you can allow an unlimited amount of users to use it. So you're becoming payment processor in a way for yourself, but also you can allow your friends to attach to it and use your node and your software, and they can accept payments directly to their wallet. So you're not taking fees from them. It's completely, I mean, it's really, really handy for people in third world countries, but also to anybody, because it's such a powerful tool, in my opinion.
Right, and it's also a full node in a wallet?
Correct. That's excellent point. I love when people bring that up, because we don't talk about it that much. But BTCPay Server is actually a full node reliant wallet. So we have an interface, and if you want to sign a transaction, you can plug your, for example, Ledger Nano S wallet, and it corresponds directly to your full node. So you do not leak information to Ledger servers and their nodes, and it's a way more private way and also secure than using Ledger or any other app. So we also have partially signed Bitcoin transactions, so you can sign transactions online with cold card wallets. So we are trying to integrate as many things possible inside BTCPay, so that it allows really customizable experience for anybody, so that anybody can use it in any way they want.
That's so damn.
So it's way more
cool.
than payment processor.
Yeah, really. So this another element of BTCPay Server, and correct me if I'm wrong, but because it's free, there's little or no revenue being derived to go to the people working on BTCPay Server. I know that there's been donation drives, and people have an ability to donate in that way. and we'll break into the recent grant, I guess, from Square Crypto, which I think was 100,000 USD, which is not only is a affirmation and confirmation of the great work that you guys are doing at BTCPay Server, but also just phenomenal investment in the ecosystem. But was this, like, in terms of motivations, right? Especially in this space, we talk about economic motivations, and the hardcore economists would talk about, well, people are going to do things in their economic best interest, and we can't rely on them doing things outside of that. But here we have a solution born out of a pain point, as you mentioned from Nicola's experience with BitPay, and as a result decided to devote his time and energy and financial resources, and then after that, the community that built up around it, people contributing for free, just because they believed that this solution needed to exist in the world. Can you talk a little bit about contributing to a project like that, and how you think and feel about working on something that is not, there's no direct financial reward?
Yeah, sure. So personally, for me and for a bunch of other contributors, when working on a software like this, you really feel like you're on a mission from God. And I'm not joking, like you really feel that you're making a difference. And for most of people, that's actually quite enough. If you're making difference in this world, making it a better place, like money is really not a priority. But as you pointed out, definitely, as you devote so much time. I mean, there are a bunch of us who are basically contributing to BTCPay Server full time, and we were not getting paid in any way. But it really did not bother us because we were so motivated to to develop this software and improve it so that people can be free and can have their own financial freedom. So yeah, like any open source software, sustainability is really a pain for any project. We indeed had some sort of donation system where people could, donate Bitcoin to us and stuff like that, but we never asked for it, and we never, specifically said, hey guys, we are working really on this for free. I mean, people did not know, and we of course received a few generous donation, but in general, I mean, donation we received on monthly basis were really not enough for even one developer to go full time, let alone like 10 or how many people are now contributing. I think that at this point we have like 60 contributors, but maybe the core team is like 4, 5, 6 people. So sustainability was really a pain for us, and we were thinking about it. How can we continue to develop this in a pure way without building a service on top of it, without building a company or something like that? And I mean, we were brainstorming how we can help all of these people who are helping BTC Pay. How can we reward them for what they are doing? So it took us quite a lot of time and quite a lot of paperwork and stuff like that, and figuring things out in different countries. But eventually we created the BTCPay Server Foundation. And I know that in this space, word foundation is like really triggers a bunch of other things and bunch of negative points about all sorts of foundation that failed to deliver. And for us, it was really the only way for us was to form such an entity which will create a structure on top of BTCPay Server, but in a way be completely independent of the project. So if foundation fails, BTCPay Server is still an open source software. I mean, people can continue to fork it, contribute to it. I mean, it has nothing to do with development of BTCPay. It is made to help developers who are investing so much of their time and reward them for helping people who use BTCPay Server. And more importantly, earlier, we did not have a structure for businesses to support us. I mean, businesses use BTCPay Server, but we did not have a mechanism or a structure for them to donate. And they were simply, whenever some business wanted to donate, they sometimes wanted to wire us money. Some of them wanted Bitcoin, but like we did not have any structure to whom should they donate. And that's why we needed to create BTCPay Server Foundation. I mean, we have it on foundation.btcpayserver.org, and there you can read all about it, how it will work, what do we plan to do with it, and stuff like that. But for now, it's an entity independent of the project that will help developers focused on BTC Pay. We call them rockstar developers and contributors. We won't help just programmers. There are so many people contributing to BTC Pay Server in so many ways that we will try in a way to reward everyone who involves significant time and contributes to BTC Pay Server.
Right. And so why is the foundation model preferable to some form of, revenue model for the service itself?
Well, I mean, you can fork BTCPay Server and create your centralized servers on top of it if you want. One of the models we actually considered doing prior to Foundation was, in a way, support model. Like Red Hat for Linux. They are like basically, providing support and charging that.
Yep.
And it was probably also a decent model, but we wanted to try with a bit more pure, I call it, model without being, focused on profits and stuff. We really want to be like a non-profit thing so that our motivations are a bit, more cleaner, I must say. But we will see. If this foundation does not work, we'll probably continue to work on something else. But for now, it really provided like a decent structure, and businesses already are showing interest to us. And yeah, we can talk now about Square Crypto if you want.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me
And
how that came
there,
about.
yeah. So once we, set up the foundation thing, we were thinking, I mean, who should found us, who should give us the money? I mean, there are so many companies in Bitcoin, and we started reaching out slowly, but the response rate was not that good. People, I mean, it's hard to get the money from donation. Everyone wants like a stake because they think BTC Pay is a company, so maybe we can get something out of it.
Right.
But once Square Crypto was announced, we were like, oh man, this is something that really is for us. I mean, we are open source project. We want to continue to work freely on it, to have complete freedom on what we do and continue to open source everything. And once we connected with them, it was like, this is really going to work. I mean, their ethos and our ethos were so much in line that it made so much sense. So after some, months of work and negotiating stuff, fixing paperology and all of that, Square Crypto donated like $100,000 to us. It will be paid out in 12 monthly, installments, but it's a really big step for us, not just financially, but also the fact that such a big company and such an amazing product, sorry, not product, like such an amazing project on their side is supporting our software. So we will try to we lead and show that open source can be founded that way, and we want to show that this model can actually work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, really, it clicked right away with Square Crypto, and now we have like a DG Lab from Japan, and also a few more companies who would like to support us and make all our entire model sustainable. Because BTCPay Server glues many other projects into one. We basically give interface to all of those Bitcoin projects that are maybe not visible, but we give interface to that and try to glue all of that together. We will, if we get in that funding, we will definitely focus not just on our developers, but also developers of other projects. But for now, we're just trying to make model sustainable for people who contribute quite a lot to BTCPay Server.
Yeah, it's definitely tremendous validation, but also it's tremendous, press. Now lots of other projects dispersed all over the world, and engineers and people that want to contribute are going to see that this thing is real, and to have the kind of stamp of approval from something like a Square Crypto, even though they haven't been in the space for a long time, but they have the position that they have. I think it's probably going to lead to a lot of more people, and as you said, businesses being attracted to, using BTCPay Server and contributing to it. But one of the, so that's a great. We got a little carried away with the introduction there, which is great because I think it's important to describe what this thing actually is and kind of how it's developed. But let's go back for a second to your contribution and how you got involved, because your contribution is non-developer, let's say, right? So why don't you go ahead and describe that?
Yeah, so I'm not a developer, I'm not a technical guy, I'm just, the way I started using BTCPay Server is I have a web shop, bitcoinshirt.co. I sell Bitcoin t-shirts, and I needed a way to accept Bitcoin payments because you cannot sell Bitcoin t-shirts and not accept Bitcoin, right? So I was really trying to find the payment processor for my own shop, but once I started trying different companies, all of them wanted my passport. All of them had some sort of fee structure. All of them had some sort of limitation. And really, I really felt like, I mean, if this is how Bitcoin works, I mean, Bitcoin will never work this way. I mean, how can it work when it's the same as PayPal? I mean, no way this will work. And like on Reddit, someone pointed out BTCPay Server to me to like, hey, Nicola developed this cool software. And I was of course familiar with Nicola prior to that. I mean, I heard about him because he was Bitcoin Core contributor. He still is, and I was a bit of fanboy of his. So I went to their community. There were like five or six people at that time, all of them technical, and they helped me set up my BTCPay server for my shop. And I was like, wow, this really can work, but people do not understand it. So what I did personally, my efforts involved mostly uh, in a way, marketing BTCPay server, creating documentation, educating users, providing support for users. Basically, I do stuff that programmers won't do. I want them to be focused on code and what they really love, and let me handle all the boring stuff for them, which is exciting for me. So we are a pretty good team when it comes to that. So that's how I became involved in BTCPay server. But really, my point and main takeaway from this is that you can contribute to open source software even if you're not technical or developer. Open source needs so many different things in order to work, in order to be properly used. So anyone can help if they have free time and wills. That's the point. If you're not a technical person, you want to contribute to BTCPay server, come to our community. I assure you there are so many things you can do. I will help you figure out what you want to do, and you can start from there.
Yeah. And so what, as far as your contribution and role is concerned, what's coming up for you? Is there just much more kind of documentation and walkthrough videos and stuff like that to do, or what's on your horizon?
Well, they also call me the bot because I test a bunch of stuff they develop. I try to, figure out how it works from the user perspective because developers sometimes develop some complex things which users do not understand. And now also we have, as community expand, I'm quite happy that my role, shrinks because I try to be so many things, but now I'm focused on documenting things, on, helping users, educate users, and spreading the word about BTC Pay. We now have 2 or 3 UX people involved in our community. They provide us tips, and the direct result of that will be actually a new user interface of BTC Pay coming soon. So we are really happy that we now have so many people from so many different professions willing to help open source software like BTC Pay Server.
That's so cool. Is this a full-time thing for you?
Well, it really became a full-time thing for me like a few months ago, but I did not want to admit it. I mean, it dragged me into it slowly, like one step at a time. And at some point, I'm like, wow, man, I'm just doing this open source thing. I definitely need to find a job or something because you cannot live out of thin air. I mean, my business was doing fine, but like probably not enough for me to live like properly. But I mean, personally, for me, just the fact that you're doing something good, that you get recognition for it, and that you see direct result of your work, that's like biggest thing for me to go full time on BTC Pay Server. And I would do it even if probably there was no foundation or anything. I mean, I would definitely continue if foundation fails. I will definitely continue to work on BTC Pay Server.
It's
Definitely, like, yeah.
it's amazing that this model and these types of projects made possible at a foundation by freedom money, Bitcoin, is is allowing people to now, or inspiring people to get involved in projects where they the opportunity cost is great because they're leaving maybe a job or another startup or some other career, and it's giving them the opportunity to make the choice and say, I want to work on this thing because I think it needs to exist in the world, and I really believe in the benefit that it can provide. And this, the foundation of Bitcoin and the structure of open source projects is allowing people to make that decision. And as you were describing, your involvement, I used to be, somewhat involved in the startup community in Shanghai, in China, and I've always been fascinated by that community. But it can be fairly selfish, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. But you join a startup and you wonder, how much I'm going to be paid and what kind of equity I'm going to get and all this kind of stuff. And those considerations are always running in the background. It must be a really unique and awesome experience to be part of a team where everybody has come to it out of like pretty much purely altruistic reasons, and they're motivated to work hard and make this thing as best as they can make it, purely because they believe in the cause and not because they know they're getting 16% off, of the equity, or because they got some sort of salary structure or bonus structure. Like, it must be real exciting to be part of something like that.
Yeah, it is like when you contribute to open source, like it's very easy to get your name out of it. People will, start recognizing you, and that's happened the same for me. I mean, before BTC Pay, I was just a guy selling t-shirts. Now I'm talking to John here. We're having so much fun and talking about changing the world. I mean, people invite me now to conferences to participate and stuff like that. I mean, that would, if there was no BTC Pay, if there was no Nicola Doria, I would just be the guy selling t-shirts or maybe doing something else. I'm also like a business guy, like starting businesses and stuff like that. But like, what I'm doing now is something I always dreamed about, and that I'm so happy for it. And you brought up excellent point about organizations like that. I read a book recently called Open Organization by a Red Hat CEO, and it talks about how open source organizations will change the world, where everything is open, where people, are way more open to each other, where decisions are actually not made like from a CEO, but they're made for a bunch of people. And I mean, it's an excellent book. I would recommend that anyone involved in open source should read it. It's The Open Organization. And
Yeah.
that's basically what BTCPay Server is, like open organization, but like non-profit. And yeah, that's a great point you made about, all of us being there just for motives of changing the world for now. That's excellent. And all of our contributors actually feel the same way. And I'm sure that many other open source contributors to different projects are doing also that. So yeah.
Yeah. And, when you say something like, you take the leap of faith, you see this thing you want to exist, you don't listen to your rational mind, who's thinking about rent and food and money and stuff, and you say, no,
Yeah.
this just feels right. I need to be involved in this. And then as a result of that, you begin to get recognition of various kinds. Like you said, you're being asked to speak, and you're, all this kind of stuff. I mean, to me, the thought in my head when you're saying that is like, that's just fucking beautiful. That someone can take that risk because they believe in something so strongly, not knowing where the path will lead, right? Not knowing at all. It's
Yeah.
completely uncertain. And then to, put kind of their heart and soul into something that they believe in, and then to see these kind of intangible, perhaps initially non-monetary rewards accrue to them because people are recognizing, how badass of a move it is to jump off, to set forth on a trail and a journey, not knowing where it will lead, but just knowing that your intention is in the right place, and then seeing these benefits accrue as a result of doing that. It's like, what could be more beautiful than that?
Yeah, I agree. And when someone in our community like says like, guys, you really helped me. I had no way of funding my business. Nobody wanted to to allow us to accept payments. We were like, we could not accept payments, but then we discovered BTC Pay. You guys are helping us so much. When we see like even sex workers who are censored, even when they tell us like, thank you for this, it really helps us. I mean, you see the results of your contributions right away in open source, and as you said, like you go completely down the rabbit hole, and that's like beauty of open source, not just BTC Pay Server. So I'm
Right.
so happy to be involved in this.
And the beauty of open source that's founded on the foundation of Bitcoin, right? Because presumably, even, and I know there may be a lag time here and it's indirect, but, if people working on these sorts of projects that are making the Bitcoin ecosystem more robust, more usable, generating more economic activity within it, if they are also, holders of Bitcoin, investors, holders, collectors, whatever you want to call it, then, they're contributing to their contribution to the expansion of the network and the services and the products on top of it, ultimately accrues to that asset that they're holding, because they're adding value to the asset they're holding. And that's the kind of the beauty, another one of the beauties of something like Bitcoin and all the things being built on top of it is that there's this indirect, reward for contributing value to the network.
Yeah, that's right. And we developed BTCPay Server also for ourselves because all of us use it is in some way. I use it in shop, other guys use it as a wallet. So we are creating a product actually or a software which will, I mean, allows us to use Bitcoin in a better way and also allows other to build on top of it. And it actually is what you just said. It allows Bitcoin to actually go mainstream. It, improves adoption and also it protects my Bitcoin. And that's what's important to me also.
Right. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention these two quotes that I plucked from, I think, another podcast you did. But it really, it encapsulates just the intensity of the attitude with which you approach, this project. There's two. There's one that said, change the world and I don't need anything else. And the other one was, I'm on a mission from God. And that's intense stuff.
I mean, it is. It really feels like amazing to be able to do that, or at least feel that you're making a difference. And I really think that we are all making a difference in a way. We are just such a small community, all of us Bitcoiners, but we're all working on some interesting stuff, and we're all like helping Bitcoin in a way. So I'm really thankful to be the part of this project, and I hope that it will even grow even more in the future.
Yeah, I've spoken with a number of people who kind of echo similar sentiments, even if the exact way they're engaging in these various projects are a bit different. But it's such a life upgrade to become involved in something that the analogy that I usually use is if you can wake up in your morning and put your feet on the ground and kind of be excited for engaging in the activities of the day, then that's you pretty much won. And so many people are coming from a perspective, and probably all of us have experience coming from this perspective where we got up in the morning and it was more of a sigh and I got to go and do whatever again today. So the fact that these projects and this ecosystem is providing more and more people every single day with ways of contributing and engaging in activity and work that from which they derive far more meaning than what they were doing previously, and gets them excited and enthusiastic. It's like I'm excited just saying that because I know how powerful it is to wake up in the morning and basically hate life versus waking up in the morning and not being super excited to get started.
I mean, I agree. I could have said that better myself. So that's exactly how I feel every single morning. Like I open my laptop and like I'm the citizen of the internet now, doing all of these cool things where, I mean, in some other life, if I have not found open source and BTCPay Server, I would probably be working 9 to 5, like hating my life. But with this, I cannot wait to wake up and like, let's make a difference today. Let's improve something for these people. And
Right.
that's how I feel every day. And I mean, it cannot get better than that, right? I mean, that feeling is just what makes you like pumped and happy about your life.
Totally. Let me ask you a perhaps strange question, but do you ever feel guilty? So you wake up and you start working on the BTC Pay Server stuff. Do you ever feel guilty? Because when and I'm not contributing in as such an altruistic. Well, my contribution is more out of my own interest, and I hope some people derive benefit from it, even if it's only entertainment. But
Yeah.
when I do this, like let's say I'm editing a show, or I'm clipping some stuff up to share on social media or something, I often feel guilty, and I wonder to myself like, why do I feel guilty right now? And I think it's because we're so ingrained, growing up and being put through the quote unquote industrial school system, industrial education system, to it's not supposed to be enjoyable. Well, like we became accustomed to like hate kind of doing things we didn't want to do. I don't want to do this math homework. I don't want to do this homework. I don't want to take this test. This doesn't like. And we've just become accustomed to accepting we had to do things that we don't really enjoy. And so when I'm put in an environment and in a project where I literally enjoy every single part, I enjoy the research part before having a conversation, I enjoy having the conversation, and I enjoy editing and post-production and social sharing and all that kind of stuff. Like every single part I enjoy, and I often feel like subconsciously, I guess, a guilt bubbles up because I'm like, am I supposed to be feeling so good about like doing quote unquote work, you know?
Yeah, I agree. It really does not feel like a work to me at all. Like it's really like just a habit for me, and that it really, even if there is one day and I do not do anything for like for people in open source or on BTC Pay Server, I really feel bad. Like this entire year, I maybe had like 4 days without BTC Pay Server, and I was like, oh, okay, I cannot do this anymore. I need to go back and like do something because yeah, it really does not feel like a work. It really makes you happy, and really it helps you like feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely no feeling guilty about feeling so good about doing open source. I agree with that. And one very funny actually thing, it's completely unrelated now to this, but like, did you know that the members, at least the core team and the wider community, we never met each other in real life. We've been working like on the software for 2 years,
Really?
and we actually met each other, I think, a week ago in Riga on Baltic Honey Badger.
Wow.
And that was such an like an organic thing. We just hugged each other like finally, and then we started working on stuff. Like we were locked like in a room. I haven't seen much of Riga because we were so pumped. Let's do this, and so many people like showed awesome vibes in Riga. It was really great conference. I know that I'm going a bit off topic now, but it's
No,
just
no,
an
man.
interesting thing that we are actually working together like in an open organization, but we never met each other in real life, and that was quite a weird experience for me. And a Riga experience made me pumped even more to work on this stuff. So really made me happy seeing all of these people smiling, having good ideas, having thanking us for enabling them to build their business on top of BTC Pay. And really, I felt so good, man. Like those 3 days for me were like a life-changing experience.
Man, that is so cool. I'm so happy for you and the team. Like I can only imagine, because if we talk about our behavior and the choices we make, self-selecting for different groups, right? Which is the case
Yeah,
for a broad number of things. You know, I don't know how many, people are contributing. Let's say it's 20, just for example.
sure.
Out of the whole world of people, those 20 people are the ones that self-selected to, the kind of the making the leap of faith that I mentioned earlier, where they're just saying, I don't know where this is going to lead. I don't know where I fit in, but damn, I want this thing to exist, so I'm going to devote my time to it. And then, having that very, very unique group of people come together in or have worked together for so long in the digital world, and then come together in the physical world and just get to see each other and smile at each other, and like it's got to be. There must have been some real tight hugs in that meetup,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was really crazy. Like, I mean, meeting all of these people that you communicate with every single day, but you never like met them in real life.
Wow.
It was such an amazing experience. I mean, seeing their faces, hearing their voices, finally putting face to the name, and it was really nice experience. And made us rethink like yes, we're developing BTC Pay, we're working on it, but come on guys, let's at least meet a few times a year somewhere. I mean, it really helps the entire community bond, and we actually work much better and much quicker when we are in a single apartment room, all of us with our laptops doing stuff. So
Yeah, I was just going
yeah,
to ask if as a result of that, there was plans to kind of get together more often, but I guess the answer is yes.
yeah, because at the Baltic Honey Badger, we actually, the organizers were so awesome that they allowed us to have like an entire day for BTC Pay, one day after the conference. So, Crypto Cash was the name of the company that allowed us like an entire day. They gave us their amazing office space, and we did presentations there. We did talks like just there were like 60 or 70 people. It was so crowded, and people were sitting on a floor listening to talks. And later we had beers and stuff, and it was really amazing experience.
Man, that's so cool. So cool. So do you think, do you see this kind of really snowballing now, or do you think you guys, the core group, just have a bunch of work on your plates and that's what's the plan is for the next, half year coming up?
Well, I think that what I actually want BTC Pay Server to be is like a model for other projects to copy. And at one point, we'll definitely open source documents and stuff like that to help other projects. If our model proves to work, we will definitely help other projects create something similar. And yeah, the snowball effect definitely began for BTCPay Server, but we have a bunch of work to do now. Like there were so many ideas on that Riga meeting that like I'm not even sure how are we going to do that all, but we're really like working on it, and people are now even more contributing. We will actually launch some of the tools for developers, like the new API, which will even allow developers to easily develop on top of BTC Pay, because right now maybe it's not the easiest, but we definitely want to see more contributors, more developers, more people using BTC Pay Server, more mainstream companies using it, and the most important thing is that all of them are running full Bitcoin nodes and helping the network and protecting themselves.
Man, that's awesome. All right, so I want to break into your like how you got into Bitcoin. I think I heard on a previous show that you were an economist earlier in your career, and I think your brother had introduced it to you, but you kind of dismissed it. So I want to break into that, but first I just want to let people know because I visited your what's the URL for the shirt
Uh,
company?
bitcoinshirt.co.
Right. And so I just wanted to say to everybody, if you're not that excited about the prospect of a Bitcoin t-shirt, you should know that there are baby bodysuits on that site. So if you have a young baby or toddler, you can have them walking around in a Bitcoin bodysuit, and that is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, that's an excellent ad, John. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I just thought that was awesome. Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
why don't you tell me kind of how you got involved in Bitcoin in the first place?
Sure. Before that, disclaimer, one of our community members, Britt Kelly, contributor to BTC Pacer, also told me like, Pavle, if I hear one more time your story about your brother on your podcast, like I won't listen to any of your podcasts because you're repeating yourself so much.
Well, if you wanna
So
if
Britt,
you wanna if you wanna
yeah,
add some
no,
new details, go ahead.
I will just say, Brit, now you can, turn the volume down for a minute because I will quickly just explain it to people. Like, yeah, I come from a third world country. We got PayPal, I think, in 2013, so we were quite isolated
Where are you
from.
from?
Yeah, I'm from Serbia,
Okay.
so it's in Eastern Europe.
Yep.
So we were quite isolated. We have quite a lot of wars here, and we're financially we are so much behind other countries. So for us, doing transactions online was not really easy for quite a lot of years. Now it's maybe easier, but it's still a bunch of paperwork, bunch of stuff. But yeah, now we can transact with the people. Earlier, we always had to find some workarounds in order to send money abroad and stuff like that. But yeah, I have a brother who it was 2013 or I think or 12, and he just was working on a project with some friends of his from abroad. I'm not sure which country was that, and they were making a website. And now my brother wanted to pay that kid for the work he's done for him, and there was no way. I mean, you do not have PayPal. You're under I mean, you're 13 years old. You do not have bank account or anything, and they were unable to make a transaction in any way. So he, in a way, discovered Bitcoin and tried to sell it to me, like, please buy me some Bitcoin, like, explain me it's like an internet money and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, I go to school for this. That shit, that's not how money should work, man. Like, you cannot print the money out of thin air. Like, and then looking back at my stupid statement, like, he still jokes about it. He's
Right.
not rich, unfortunately, because he was just a kid. He just wanted to make a website, but maybe he is. But he has a pretty good OPSEC then. But he really like made me discover Bitcoin, and I got in Bitcoin in 2016 or 17 by watching Andreas and Anopoulos video, of course, like many of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, after that he was just like, I told you, bro, like I won't listen to you for anything else in my life, because we ended up making that transaction via, I'm not sure if it was wire transfer or Western Union, and they took us like 20%, and it took
Yeah.
like 6 or 7 days. So I'm sure it was wire transfer. So I mean, not being able to realize that Bitcoin would fix that is crazy. But yeah,
Were
what
you
can you do about
were
it? At
you
least we are.
were you teaching economics at the time?
No. I was a student of
Okay.
economics at the time, so that's crazy. Like not being able to, they do not teach us that stuff at school, and later as you start, going into the economics of Bitcoin, the technology and everything, because Bitcoin in a way it mixes all of my passions that I ever had in my life. Like it's
Yeah,
economy, it's like technology. I was always about that, and it mixes everything for me, and it makes so much sense. It's hard to communicate it to my friends in real life, but what can you do about it? When
sure.
they need it, they will understand it. There is no point in shilling them to use it if they do not have like a real use case for it right now.
Absolutely. And as much as we, I talk about it on the show all the time, as much as we want to share our kind of revelation and excitement about this thing, most of the times that's probably not the best approach. But what is a really good approach is you just engaging in something that from which you derive meaning, that makes you happy, that makes you excited, that connects you with the type of people you want to be connected with. And that's the type of stuff that like your friends will start kind of paying attention to and raising an eyebrow about, because everybody
Yeah.
wants those things. They just maybe they don't believe you if you say that you're getting it from what you're working on in Bitcoin and what it means. But if they notice month after month, year after year that like you've constructed, a life that you're really happy with, predicated and based on this new technology and this new movement and system and whatever we want to call it, then that's probably the most powerful, influential, way of communicating than anything else.
Yeah, that's well put. Like yelling drunk, like buy Bitcoin does not work, so don't try to do it, guys. Like it really does not work.
Yeah,
But yeah, as you said, they will eventually understand it. I mean, for me, Bitcoin is just a way of saying fuck you to your government, because government here, I don't trust them. I
yeah.
think that nobody should trust their own governments. But yeah, it's a way of having a way out if you need it. When you don't need it, that's okay, but it's good always to have an option, and to have a way out of any situation, and that's what Bitcoin is for me.
Totally. And when you say that, because I have had a number of those types of conversations, and when they kind of devolve, when they stop being based on logic and reason and they become more emotional, I realize that this is not just about like trying to explain something objectively. This is basically asking someone to change their worldview, because a lot of people are coming from a worldview and a perspective where yeah, you kind of you blindly trust the government because you live in a democracy, and so the government is for the people, by the people, right? And so there's no need to question any of the things that they do. We don't need to question the money. We don't need to question the laws around speech or around guns or around this and that. And now, obviously, I'm generalizing, but my point is just that like that conversation is so hard to have, I think, because it is a conversation that's questioning and putting pressure on a worldview, not just introducing a concept or a technology.
Yeah, and it's quite hard for people in developed countries already. Like your system works on the surface, everything seems good. You have good money, for example, your government, okay, healthcare is good in some countries. Like everything on the surface is good, but underneath, man, it's like burning hell.
Yeah,
In third world countries, for us, it's easier to see the surface because it's everything is so broken,
yeah,
and I think we click better with Bitcoin because like, oh wait, it fixes money. Okay, government, yeah, government does not need money. Why would they control money anyway?
yeah.
We don't trust them. They're all corrupted. Like, why would they need money? So yeah, we'll see how the government approaches Bitcoin in the future. I actually had a conversation recently with someone from the government, but it was quite a random talk. Like I met guy on the street, and then we just ended up talking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, we understand Bitcoin. We know what it is, but like." For now, we're so far behind on so many things that we won't be able to do it. And I was like, dude, if you just buy this instead of gold, our country would probably be much better if you try to understand it. You can improve our country in so many different ways. Like, but yeah, they just don't understand it. In the early days, I really tried to shill Bitcoin to people, to explain to everybody, to yell like, ah, how can you not understand it? But right now, dude, it's okay. You don't need to understand it. You will at some point.
Yeah.
At some point, you all will need to understand it, and you will learn how to use it, no matter how hard that was at this point. because yeah, it will be the only way out for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm always pessimistic about stuff like that, but I say that something bad needs to happen in financial world for people to understand and actually understand the importance of Bitcoin. So we'll see.
Yeah, and
I hope that that's not the case, but yeah, you never know.
the same is probably true for governments. You know, as much as we might like to stress the benefits of potentially adopting this change before it disrupts your model or your system, you know, governments are rarely proactive. They're reactionary to, you know, things that happen. So it's I guess it's unlikely to hope that they change. But the beautiful thing about, if we can encapsulate this whole concept in terms of like a revolutionary sort of idea, the beautiful thing about this revolution that's quite unique and different than revolutions of the past is that it's based on technology and innovation, you know, and that you don't, which gives it somewhat of an inevitable or unstoppable sort of, you know, sort of element, because we live in a highly, you know, in a high-tech modern world, and we rely on technology more and more every single day. And the revolutionaries of the current and the future, and the revolutionary ideas and tools and things of that nature, are going to be unstoppable technology. And so, you know, it's not just as easy as it was in the past by saying pass a law and enforce the law with guns, because in the future there's going to be too many ways to circumvent, you know, whatever those laws might dictate. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy or pleasant, but I do think it's a massive advantage of the times we're in now versus previous times.
Yeah, and that's a good point about government trying to regulate Bitcoin and like put pressure on it, because I know from my own experience that when you do not have like a structure or they try to forbade you something or just don't use it, you'll find a way to use it. Like just regulating Bitcoin, trying to force it or, you know, in a way stop it. That's not how it's going to work. It's like the money that keeps evolving, so there is no way that they can stop it.
Right.
So
And
we'll see. We'll see.
you know, the idiocy of that, of regulation or prohibition, is that it's never worked. Doesn't matter if we're talking about alcohol or drugs. And now there's a big, you know, gun debate in the U.S. about restricting, or, you know, especially on the Democratic side, prohibiting guns. Like, when are we going to learn that model of telling people that they can't do something only and which they really want to do and are going to continue to find ways to do anyway, is just going to mean that it's a more dangerous path to doing it, and you create dangerous elements within society as a result of these regulations. So, but you know, politics is such an emotionally driven thing, and politicians cater to the loudest voices in society and just want to pander and say, yes, we'll do this and do that, and people don't realize that all that noise they're making is doing little more than inviting other people to restrict their freedom, and that's not good.
Yeah, and you cannot restrict freedom. Like, yeah, that was excellent point. Now I'm just thinking about it. Yeah, it makes so much sense. Like, we'll see what governments will do, but if they're more welcoming actually, and you know, encourage innovation and allow businesses actually to build with Bitcoin and let's just avoid and try to stop it. Like the countries that first realize that, but as you said, they're quite reactive. So we'll see. We will see how we are going to have Bitcoin as a worldwide currency, but I definitely see that happening, at least online, so we'll see.
It will be interesting, the kind of geographic arbitrage that emerges, right? So the jurisdictions that have the most favorable or hands-off regulations to you know, Bitcoin. So currently, like places like Malta, or, you know, I know Portugal and Spain, I think, just passed some laws. But I think the more, you know, the more it becomes apparent that people actually care about, you know, freedom in that capacity, then there might, and I've heard some people talk about this, there might be competition between jurisdictions to attract those people. So, you know, we may all end up living in a similar place, you know, in some day in the future.
On a deserted island of some sort, so that would probably be good. I mean, if you look at it, imagine how many bright minds would that country have if they allowed, like, Imagine that country and the impact people would make. Like,
It would be
that's
crazy.
crazy. Bitcoiners are definitely one of the smartest people I ever met. I mean, they're so diverse. Everyone has their own interest. Everyone has some sort of good point always. Everyone are working on something interesting.
Yeah,
So just imagine having a country like that. That would be nice. Like
that would
our
be
own
awesome.
citadel. Our own citadel, at least. So, like Nicola and I already planned our citadel in Greece. We were joking about it. Like I already found a location for it. So
Well,
we'll
man,
see how that
I
goes.
know it's like a running joke slash meme, but I think as time goes on, depending on how things play out, but I think in the back of our minds, many of us aren't so joking about it. We're like, yeah, if we can find a way to make that happen in the future, and things really aren't getting better in kind of the more broad culture, then that might actually be a thing.
Yeah, I actually always considered myself the citizen of the internet, so
Right.
I really wouldn't mind it. Like if there is e-citizenship to Bitcoin country, like invite me, I'll definitely come and join, live there.
Me too. All right, Pavla, I'm going to break into the rapid fire question soon, but did you have anything else that you wanted to discuss or anything like that that we missed?
Well, no, we pretty much covered everything. I think you pretty tackled all of these important points about BTCPay servers, so I think we covered everything.
Okay.
So feel free to just go to the quick
Okay.
questions.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've listened to the podcast before, but there's two parts here. So I'm going to ask a bunch of questions first, and you can answer, however long or short as you like. And then the last part will be a word association where I'll just say a word and you tell me the first thing that pops into your head.
Wow, we'll see what pops up in my head because I'm sometimes quite broken. So we'll see. The team members always complain about my rough sense of humor and stuff. So I'm a bit
Well,
scared now, but we'll see.
there's no wrong answers, and I always put an explicit warning on this podcast, so you can say whatever the hell you want. But first, we'll go with the rapid fire questions. So, the first one, not really lending itself to a rapid fire answer. The rest of them are a little bit better. But what is money? How do you define money?
For me, money is freedom. It allows people to transact without giving the fuck about anything else. And we're still quite a long way through that money. But yeah, for me, money equals freedom and allows people to transact with one another. And money equals Bitcoin.
If you had to explain Bitcoin to your grandmother or elderly person over 80, what would you say?
Grandma, remember how our system is broken and that governments always fucks us up? And she would probably say yes. I would say, well, we invented new form of money, which is way more secure, and it won't allow governments to fuck us up like they used to. So just use this money, grandma, and click here, send your money, and it's easier than that cash you have in your pocket.
What is the primary reason why Bitcoin is important or interesting to you?
Again, I have to say it brings freedom, it brings openness to the world, and it crushes all the borders. Financial ruins all the barriers. So it makes everything open and borderless, and that's the world I want to live in.
What does the idea of the sovereign individual mean to you?
That's a good one. So Nicola probably can reply to that one because he's so much better at that topic than I am. But for me, it allows me to be in control of my own life and allow me to live any way I want to without anyone interfering in my business, in my money, and that's pretty much everything. Like, yeah, that's pretty much everything.
How long after you first heard of Bitcoin did you start learning more about it? And if you're comfortable saying, purchase it?
I'm a bit ashamed to admit that it took me, I think, 4 years to actually go down the rabbit hole. So I was a bit stupid, and that's the brother talk I earlier provided. So yeah, and when I purchased, I never bought a Bitcoin. I never bought a single Bitcoin in my life. All Bitcoin I have has been earned. At first I provided services. I did marketing for people. I wrote a blog posts for people, and in that way obtained some Bitcoin. Because in my country we have only one exchange, and they wanted so much information and so much like fees that in the end I was just like, I asked people how should I obtain it, and they just told me like earn it. And that's my mantra, like don't buy Bitcoin if you can earn it. If you cannot, then buy it. But yeah, having that circular economy is very important. So try to earn your Bitcoin if you can.
Nice.
It's way more private, and it's very more private than it is like when buying it from an exchange.
Yeah.
If you're buying it, just buy it from a friend if you can.
What has been your most effective method of educating people about Bitcoin in conversation or more formally?
Yeah, as I told you, like yelling at people does not work. Trying to explain it in a philosophical way also does not work. So my approach, I already covered it a bit. So I just try to, explain them the basics and do not push it. Do not push Bitcoin their way. Like if you push it, they will always resist. So get them one day after the other. One day explain to them this, then that, and slowly grab them. Like I now have 3 or 4 friends that are so much into Bitcoin, but it took me, I'd say, a year to explain it to them, like just one piece of a puzzle at a time. So don't push it. Educate them slowly and one day after another.
What movie or song is most related to Bitcoin in your opinion?
Oh, wow. Hmm. I'm not that much of a movie or music guy, so do you have any suggestions maybe?
Well, I mean, things like
Which one is yours?
the Matrix and V for Vendetta and
Yeah,
stuff
The
gets brought
Matrix
up a
must.
lot.
Yeah,
I think the
yeah, yeah.
Matrix for me would just that's the most reflexive. It seems to be the most obvious one.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. That one sounds actually like, yeah, it must be The Matrix actually.
Can Bitcoin be stopped? If so, what is Bitcoin's biggest vulnerability? If not, why not?
Bitcoin cannot be stopped. Biggest vulnerability is like people like social aspect of Bitcoin, in my opinion. But we'll see. Like you cannot stop it, but yeah, we'll see. I don't think that governments will stop Bitcoin. So I think that actually Bitcoiners can be the one that fuck things up. So let's try to create Bitcoin and use it in a way it was meant to be used. Like let's eliminate all the third parties if we can, and that way you cannot stop Bitcoin. If we start involving way too many third parties, yeah, then you can in a way stop it. But if we develop things and build businesses which are decentralized, yeah, you cannot stop Bitcoin in any other way.
What was your most recent aha or level up in your understanding of Bitcoin?
Hmm. Well, I learn every day about Bitcoin. Like I listen to podcasts, to YouTube channels. I try to talk to people as much as I can. But like recently, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can even reply to that one because I learn so many things every single day from all of these guys in our community. So, I mean, I recently learned to use Bitcoin offline via partially signed Bitcoin transactions. So that was quite a discovery for me. Like, wow, this really works and like it's amazing. So, yeah, not much to add about it. So yeah.
What
That's
do you,
pretty much everything. I learn every day.
what do you think will be Bitcoin's biggest impact on society?
I think that it will open a society. It will, in a way, eliminate states. I'm hoping that in maybe 50 years, there won't be states, that we all will be like a single country of the internet, and that Bitcoin will be the currency of the internet. It's quite an extreme view, but as I said, yeah, I would like to live in a country where everything is open, where I do not need visa to go to the US, where I don't need to ask anybody for permission to build my own business and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm a bit on an extreme side.
When, if ever, do you think the first central bank will start adding Bitcoin to their reserves? And do you think central banks will exist in 20 years?
I think that central banks will exist, but I'm hoping that their power will go down. Like they won't be as powerful, they won't be making moves, they won't be influencing politics that much as they do now. So I'm hoping that in 20 years, I would love if there was no central banks, but I just even myself, who I live in a dreamland, but in 20 years I think that they will still exist. But I'm hoping that with Bitcoin their power will decrease, so that they won't be centralized powers. They won't have that much centralized power. So that's my hope.
What is the biggest mistake you've made with Bitcoin?
I lost a bunch of money in the Lightning Network recently, so that's still my biggest mistake, not realizing that it is still early days and that you need to be careful with it. And also making transactions via the servers or via nodes which are not mine, like using SPV wallets, using Electrum, and leaking information to third parties. So now I only use my own full node and try to make my transactions a bit more private and in a way protect myself.
How do you feel about Satoshi Nakamoto, Bitcoin's creator, being anonymous and the coins that he likely controls?
I don't think Satoshi is anonymous. We all know who Satoshi is. That's Craig Wright. So, and has more money than our entire country. So, thank you, Craig, for making Bitcoin great. You're awesome. I really don't care who Satoshi is like, but yeah, let's leave it to Craig to be Satoshi. He's such a funny Satoshi guy. So, yeah, let him have all the money and more money than our own countries.
Uh, what have you learned about yourself, or how have you changed, if at all, as a result of learning about and interacting with Bitcoin? So has it kind of changed, caused any behavior changed in you?
It caused me, I must say, this will sound like such a sucky statement, but I became a way better person, a way less selfish person once I started learning about Bitcoin. And I learned how to share everything with people and to be open to people. I improved my ethos so much that I'm still learning so much about it that yeah, Bitcoin really helped me become a better person. I know that it may sound lame to some people, but once I connected everything, like it made so much sense. And also Bitcoin, people in Bitcoin helped me so much become a better version of myself.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's lame, man. If it makes you feel any better, most of the people I ask that question to have some kind of a similar answer. So it's amazing how common that is.
Yeah,
Um,
it improved us.
at what price would you permanently sell over 75% of the Bitcoin you hold, assuming no necessity to do so? So I'm basically asking, how much conviction do you have for this thing?
Oof, that's a good question. I am against selling Bitcoin, so I would try not to answer that one. Like, try to keep it if you can, because hodl, hodl, hodl. Eventually you will get a nice return out of it. But yeah, don't sell it if you really don't have to. But I'm not that guy like hodl for life. If you can improve your life right now and sell Bitcoin and make something out of your life, like do it, do it. You can always earn Bitcoin. You can always buy it back. If 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 it helps you improve in your life, grow personally, like why do it? Don't listen to anybody saying you what to do with your Bitcoins. If it helps you, like do whatever you want. That's what Bitcoin is, permissionless money. Don't give a fuck about what people say. Just do what you think is best for you.
Nice. Have you ever purchased other coins? If so, are you likely to do so again in the future?
I'm probably like the only guy who only had one more coin, and that's Bcash. And I haven't bought it actually. I got it from a fork,
Right.
and I like ditched it on day one. I was lucky enough, to be honest, not to be involved in altcoins, because I followed so many people who were against it. Like it was very hard for me to understand Bitcoin itself, and let alone now go into other stuff. So I tried to focus only on Bitcoin and learn about it. So I did not have time to learn all about all of these applications of other coins. So yeah, only Bcash, and I dumped it. So yeah, you can call me shitcoiner if you want for that.
I think that's the opposite of shitcoiner, but I like it.
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
is your most controversial or contrarian view or opinion? If none on Bitcoin, any subject is okay.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So, uh, one of the controversial things people attack me about online is about altcoins in BTCPay Server, because BTCPay Server has option so that people can integrate altcoins. It's like they can add it as an optional plugin. So people attack me for that, and my view on it is cryptocurrency itself is a freedom tool. Nobody should be a gatekeeper. Nobody should tell anybody what to do. Guys, this everything here is about freedom of choice. So just not try to enforce anything on anybody. Like let people discover Bitcoin themselves and why they need it and why it is better than anything else. So yeah, it's not quite related to Bitcoin, but in a way to BTCPay Server project. So that's my controversial view.
What is
And
your
also thinking that governments will all go down and crash, and that there will be chaos, and then after that everybody will be living in an internet country. But yeah, that's quite extreme view again.
ballpark estimate of Bitcoin's price in 5 years' time?
Oh, I will leave that to Hodl now. He's so good at estimating the price. So I have not even a single clue. Like I am not sure. I even don't know how much Bitcoin is now, let alone in 5 years. I really try not to pay attention to price. For me, it's a distraction.
Okay. Do you believe there are any reliable ways at spotting a paradigm shift? If so, what are they?
Can you repeat that one again? Sorry.
Yeah, do you think there are any reliable ways at spotting a paradigm shift? So ways of seeing kind of a big shift in culture, global culture, and if so, what are the kind of indicators that you might look at to notice when big change is happening?
Well, I do think that we are in the middle of financial revolution and that it will take a few years for that to happen thanks to Bitcoin. So that's one of the biggest shifts I see in the world, like financial future. I'm a bit, yeah, now like repeating myself, but yeah, I think that we will definitely see a financial change and financial paradigm. So I hope that makes sense.
Yep. Do you have a morning routine? If so, what is it?
Yeah, my morning routine is actually opening my laptop half asleep and going to BTCPay Server Mattermost, seeing all of these messages and then trying to plan out what are we going to do that day. And that became like quite a routine for myself, like seeing all of these messages and try to like understand what we have to do for day, then just making a schedule, then calling Nicola and other guys, Cooks, Rockstar, and trying to, guys, we have to do this, we have to do that. And yeah, that's a great routine to have. And after that, always I have my coffee, of course. But yeah, I'm like not a morning person. Like I need to check everything on my laptop while in bed, so I don't live that healthy. Like I hope that one day I can change my routine and work out and then change stuff. I'm trying to do that, but like for now, I'm so much excited about this Bitcoin thing and BTCPay Server. Like as soon as they wake up, it's like, man, let's do something good today.
That's awesome. How do you define success?
Being happy about what you do and being happy about your life. Success is just about your internal happiness and feeling good about yourself. Like nothing else is more. That's how I see success. Actually, just that. Like
What's
being happy about your life. Yeah.
what's the most impactful book you've ever read?
Woof, that's a tough one. Recently, I mentioned like open organization. I think that book this year, that's the book that impacted me the most this year because I realized a bit more in depth how open source communities work, and it really helped me create a structure for BTCPay server community and how we handle support requests, how we encourage people, and how we actually encourage people to become better version of themselves through open source. So that was really a mind-blowing book for myself. Like last, let's say 3 or 4 months, it really changed my perspective on the open source entirely.
Where or who is your go-to place to learn more about Bitcoin?
Well, that must be Andreas Antonopoulos. Like I learned so much from him, but my go-to guys are now BTCPay server community. Like whenever I have a question, I just post it in our Mattermost, and there are so many bright minds in that channel, in that software. So like. I asked quite a lot of questions to our contributor Cooks. I asked quite a lot of questions to Nicola and to Rockstar and to Britt Kelly, all of these guys who are developers, and they're like always trying to break these complex things into simple steps to me to understand. And then I take those simple steps and make them even more simple so that other people can understand it. So that's how I learn about Bitcoin.
What is the one most important action that I or anyone listening can take today to kind of up our game in your area of expertise? So if they want to improve, what's the best way that you know how to do that at this point in time?
Oh, well, I would say never doubt yourself. Like, do not think that you're stupid. Do not feel bad that all of these guys are bright, smart, that they also have their own flaws. They also need you. And just take your skills, realize what are your skills, what are you good at, and then just try to use those skills to improve your life and to contribute, well, to open source. Again, I must say that you do not need to have crazy skills in order to grow, and the way to grow is actually through contributing to open source. In this space, that is the easiest way. And trust me, this is from my personal experience. Like I mean, feel like so much happier if you really do it this way. Just don't sit in the corner and be like, I cannot do this, it's too complex. Take your time, learn new skills, and talk to people, connect and network. Like, I learned so much from so many people just by networking. So do something, start a business, and just, you'll learn. Don't be afraid. That would be like, don't be afraid to learn. It's easy, and you can make a difference.
I love that advice. Okay, last question is up to you actually. What is one question that you'd like to see added to this list of questions?
Well, actually, these were all quite good questions. So I'm not quite sure actually what you can add here. Like, you asked so many good questions that I'm here like trying to answer them all. Like,
Okay.
no,
No
these questions
obligation,
are
no
perfect.
obligation.
But yeah, you can maybe add like Bitcoin Citadel question at the end. Like, what are we going to do like on when we build our own Citadel? So
Okay,
maybe that
okay.
one.
Good one. All right, this is the word association part, so I'll just fire out a word. You fire out the first thing that comes to your mind.
Sure.
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Bitcoin.
Government.
Fuckers.
Hash rate.
Hash rate. Complicated.
The individual.
Community.
Security.
Third parties security holes. I know it's more than one word,
It's
but
okay.
sorry.
Ego.
Roger Ver.
Greed.
Again, Roger Ver.
Those are great answers. Stack and sats.
Matt Odell.
Fiat currency.
Invisible.
Guns.
Bitcoin.
BTCPay Server.
A love.
Altcoins.
Dangerous.
Pizza.
Hamburger.
Socialism.
Serbia.
Family.
Best thing in the world?
Trump.
Awful hair.
Future.
Bitcoin.
Libra.
Shit.
Gold.
Nick Szabo.
And Bitcoin.
Was it again Bitcoin?
Yep.
That's the hard one, man. Like, what? How can you even say Bitcoin in one word?
How can you use one word?
Change. Yeah,
Change.
like money
Okay.
or change. But
Money or change.
let's go with money. And sorry for swearing. Like, I'm in my language, like we swear a lot, so I try to like again like just try to not to swear that much. But in
Mate,
our language, like
no apology necessary. I swear frequently and I enjoy it, and that's how I communicate. So I certainly don't have a problem with it.
yeah.
Well,
Glad to hear that.
well, Pavla, that's it, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to have a discussion with me. It's super interesting. I love your story. I love what's going on at BTC Pay Server. Hopefully, we can connect in 6, 12 months. I'm sure there's going to be so much more to talk about with the stuff that you're doing. So if you're up for it, we can reconnect in that time. But until then, if you want to share any destinations or Twitter handle or anything like that, then feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed having this conversation so much. It was so natural and organic that I loved it. I felt so much relaxed talking to you. And yeah, if you want to learn more about BTC Pay Server, we have a website, btcpayserver.org. We have documentations, docs.btcpayserver.org. Feel free to come to our community chat if you would like to ask questions or learn more. It's chat.btcpayserver.org. And if you're a business owner, like you have a business and would like to support the work we do, you can come to foundation.btcpayserver.org and try to connect with our BTC Pay Server Foundation and try to, fund us in a way and help us continue to develop this software.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you can follow me on Twitter at Pavlenex. So that's pretty much everything.
When I was kind of messing around with the BTC Pay Server in preparation for this, and a few months ago as well, I don't have a website or a shop or anything like that at this point, and I was like, man, I need to get a website and a shop just so I can integrate this into it. So hopefully at some point in the future that I'll look forward to doing all that.
I would love to help you set up a shop if you need any help with that. Like, just feel free to come to our Mattermost chat and let's do it. It will be quite quickly because actually we have a tool that allows you to build a shop on top of BTC Pay Server, so you do not need to have a website in a way. You can just use
Right.
BTC Pay Server to stack sats. So
all right,
that's
well,
great.
I'll come up. I'll have to come up with something, in the not too distant future, and then I'll hit you up for sure, and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, sure, man. I would love to see that happening.
All right, brother. Well, listen, thanks again. Really, really enjoyed this discussion. Look forward to the one in the future. But until then, all the best and good luck to you and the team.
Yeah, same to you, man. Continue doing what you do, educating people, and yeah, let's keep in touch in a year. I will definitely. I'm sure that we'll have so many things to talk about then.
100%.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, take care, brother.
Take care, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.